Well, this is a little job I thought I'd do to get me away from all the cutting and welding and grinding for a while, which could make a nice little interlude. Here is my new dashboard, and here of course is the old one with the steering wheel on the wrong side of the car, as any right thinking person knows. So I've got some red vinyl that I've bought, which I'm going to use in the car, which will match really well. So I thought I'd have a go at covering this. I've got some spray adhesive that I'm going to use as well. It's quite a tricky job, and I've got to wait for the weather to warm a little bit so that I can put the vinyl out in the sun just to let it really soften. And I've got a few holes to drill in this new board here to accommodate that. So I'm not actually going to start on that one, but what I thought I would start on is this, which is the top of the dash covering. And that's really just a timber piece, the plywood underneath here, and there's another timber piece which runs along there. I haven't stripped this yet, but I think I can probably reuse this original timber piece that rounds that off, and I'll just make a new piece of plywood to match the rest of it. These little vents here have to be stripped and painted. I'll find a nice red colour that will match in with the vinyl. So that looks like a reasonably pleasant job. These are just stuck onto the back here with speed nuts, and this has been recovered before, as I said, so it's been stapled together. So I think that could be quite a pleasant little thing to do. I enjoy working with wood, and I'm a little bit more confident with that than I am with steel. So I've got to get some foam, which is not a problem. I may even have some here. I'll have to have a look at that, and some red paint that will match the vinyl, and some plywood. So that's the little job for today, and I'm looking forward to that. I've started stripping this now, and you can see it's covered in a layer of foam. I've taken the vinyl off, which really just came off in one piece. I've pulled off these little vents here, which have the dreaded speed nuts, I think they call them, on there, which I personally hate. I find them quite difficult to use, but I guess that's just a problem I have with them. And I'm peeling back this layer here of vinyl, just using a chisel to sort of get that off. I want to try and preserve as much of this as possible, and I don't know whether it can be seen or not, but underneath here, if I pull that back a bit more, there is some half round rubber attached to that, which I think is still good, and I'll probably just leave that on there. So this is a piece of timber which is, I should say, has been cut on a bandsaw. I do have a bandsaw, and I could make another one, but I think this is quite usable. It's solid, and the shape's quite tricky because it curves this way as well as that way. So there's a bit of a compound curve in there, so it might be nice to just to be able to reuse this little bit, this bit of rubber, and I'll make a new one of these, and that should work out quite well, I think. Interesting, there's a little number on here. I'm always quite fascinated by these little bits of archaeology when I'm working on a car, and it looks like it's got 811, or I'm looking at it upside down, it could be 118. Who knows what it means. It was chalked there by somebody, I guess, in 1959. Interesting, love that stuff. And there's also a little round sort of oval shape here which looks like it's been stamped on there, so who knows what that means, but it's still nice to think that somebody 56 years ago put this together, and here I am redoing it all, and their marks are still on there. And those came apart quite easily. They were just screwed together with some little wood screws through here, and that's just peeled off there quite nicely. So that's the piece I've got to make. This is the piece I'm going to keep. I'll clean all this up, but it's good. It's very solid, and it's going to be a lot easier to use the original one than it is to make a new one of those. So that didn't offer me a great deal of resistance, I must say. So then here is the new top, which I've drilled and seems to fit really well. So I've checked all the drill holes for the turnbuckles and everything, and the vents. I'll give this a coat or two of varnish, I think, before I cover it with the with the new foam and the vinyl. Quite good. Well, to move away from the panel work, I've done a little bit of trim, and I'm actually pretty pleased with the way that's turned out. It's the red colour. I got the vinyl from AH Spares in the UK, and it is actually pretty close to the original vinyl colour. And I painted these little, doesn't show up very well in this light, but little vents there. I found a dark red colour, which I used. I think I couldn't match it exactly, and I didn't really try. I just think as long as the colour is slightly darker, and that actually looks pretty good. So it's really nice to be able to move away from some of the welding and cutting and do a little bit of trim work, although it might be a little bit premature. The next thing is to cover this, and I've cut all the holes I need. I made sure that this fitted into the dash before I drilled any holes that weren't already drilled. Some of them were. All the major holes were drilled, but these holes around here, of which there are 8, which hold the chrome rim on. They've got little pins that go through and then open up at the back, a bit like split pins. I had to drill those. I also had to make a hole there for the washer pump, which this car had, and that is directly opposite to that key there. So that's the washer pump there, and that's the key. Also a couple of holes in the bottom here for the little heater control unit, and a couple around here just to mount it into the side. So the next step is to try and cover that. Now I have some spray adhesive here. It's a spray contact adhesive which I'm going to use. So the idea is to cover the whole dash with that, and then of course cover the vinyl and roll that on. I have a little roller, like an ink, quite a hard ink roller that printers use, which I'm going to use to do this. I'm actually quite nervous about it because this adhesive sticks very, very well, so I don't have much opportunities to get it right. I'm going to do it, I'll put the vinyl out in the sun and just get it a little bit warm, and we'll see what happens. I think folding it around these curves here could pose a little bit of a problem, but well, it's been done before, so I guess I can probably do it. I was going to do it today, but we had a little bit of a bushfire fright. It was a fair way away from us, but it did look like at one point we might have got hit. And I actually thought I might lose the cars for a minute, but it was quite a way away, so I panicked with that nothing. So this is the job for tomorrow.